So I was in Fort Lauderdale last week. I flew in for the day to work with my partners. As I said, I'm a brand ambassador for Intelliflex, which is a rapid deploy data center company. They build products that can go to market faster than anyone at the highest, I mean, absolute highest quality in the marketplace. Nobody, not a big brand, not a publicly funded, nobody has a product that is superior to theirs. And I can stand on that. All 10 toes planted on the ground. Nobody has got a product better than Intelliflex. 10 toes on the ground. Why that's important is in the data center industry, as well as the Bitcoin industry, it is all about speed to market. So how fast can you get there? What is the time of which it takes you to build it? And do you have a supply chain problem? So now let's go through each one of those. Time to market. So from the time you decide to build one of these, a data center facility, that can be as long as 5 years, as short as 3 years, and if they're harder to scale once you build it, meaning you don't have a lot of opportunity to change the facility design. So now let's go to Intelliflex, right? Intelliflex is speed to market, 10 months. You can add on to the system. It's like stacking on Legos. It is a brilliant, brilliant process. Liquid cooled to chip, also immersion. No one's doing that. Now, here's the thing. If you can cool a 6,000 or 7,000 watt machine in oil, you can cool a NVIDIA product in oil. You can cool an AMD product in oil. Just takes a little bit of thinking, and that's where Intelliflex comes in. The mad scientist himself, Chuck, spends all his time looking to solve the problem. But again, let's get back to the story. So the story, I'm in Fort Lauderdale. I'm there representing Intelliflex, speaking on their behalf. There's a panel of, I believe there's 5 of us. And there's an audience full of Bitcoin miners. My opening statement is 99% of you can't do this. And here's why. It's difficult. You don't understand the network capabilities. You have to build an entirely new facility. It's capital intensive. But here is where Bitcoin mining and AI actually intersect. Bitcoin mining, one of its greatest assets is its ability to monetize energy at its greatest use, whether it's profitability from Bitcoin mining, whether it's managing the grid through demand response, whether it's selling power if you're in a deregulated market like Texas. It really is. It's a great, great product to do all those things. Now, let's think about the process for a second. How can a Bitcoin miner use its assets and work within the AI industry? And the simple question is, or the simple answer, that's not right. The simple answer is a Bitcoin miner can offer the AI industry a way to manage their power contracts when they're ramping up the capacity. So now if I rewind this all the way back to how I started thinking about why I would transition from the Bitcoin industry into the enterprise industry. So going from Gigachad to enterprise Chad, that's kind of the running joke, is like a fellow colleague was like, well, we can't call you Gigachad anymore. And I said, well, and he goes, I think we just call you enterprise Chad. And it was kind of funny, it kind of stuck. And so if you think about this, that transition that I thought through was all because I was working to develop power for a large developer that was going to sell a facility to a large hyperscaler. And there was this period of time of which the data center that was being built couldn't use the power of the power plant that I was looking at having built. And so there was this period where somebody had to monetize that. And what I mean by monetize it is just basically pay for it. And so I started thinking, I was like, oh, you could just put a Bitcoin mining facility in the middle, and oh, you could just put an Intelliflex system in there. You could park it. You know, it takes 10 months to show up. You'd still be under construction of the power plant. The data center wouldn't even be started at that point. You put this Bitcoin mining facility and you connect it to the power plant. You use as much power as you possibly can, and you reduce the cost to the developer and or the data center during the time at which the data center won't be using power. So you offset their cost, or you find unrecognized revenue to offset construction costs. It's a brilliant concept. And as I sat through it and I thought through that process, I was like, why don't we just take that same idea and turn it, like, if you can deliver this product at such a faster pace, why don't you just do this exact business for the data center and AI industry? Because no one is thinking along this way. And then that's kind of when it hit me. It was like, okay, this is the business model. Rapid deployed data centers that can be scaled anywhere. They don't need water. You could use power of any kind, and you could start with as little as a few megawatts and then scale that capacity as it grows. It is a unique position to be in, that you don't require excessive amount of power to start, and then you can scale accordingly. I found that it was much easier to find and develop small footprints of power all across the country than it was to develop large footprints of power. When I talk about large, greater than 500 megawatts. When I talk about small, 20 megawatts or less. I know that I could go and build 50 20 megawatt locations faster than somebody could build a gigawatt location. I know it. There's hands down, beat them all day long at it. It's a game that I know we would win. Thinking about this process and developing this product gets me back to this Fort Lauderdale event in this speaking. And I just sat there and I laid it out. I'm like, hey, I spoke to 80 different industries. I spoke to these types of businesses. Here are the problems they're having. Here are the challenges that can be solved. Here's how you can help. This is what I would do if I was in the Bitcoin industry today. Ultimately, I left that conversation and probably spoke to about a dozen people within the Bitcoin industry that I respect, that all kind of sat there for a moment and said, hey, I think you're right. It is a really, really tough industry to get into. Technologically, we don't have the tools necessary to beat it, but we do have some of them. The moral of the story is you don't always have to have the solution that solves the apparent problem. You might have the solution that solves a problem that nobody's thinking about. And I can tell you, there are tons of problems to solve. There's tons of future growth for everyone. If you just focus, take a minute, sit down, and map out your plan and execute on it. Because that is the key. At the end of all of this, you need to execute on a plan.